Hi there folks, my name's NovaWing24 and welcome to another little review of an FSX product. So today we are going to be having a look at the newest release, one of the newer releases from Aerosoft. We're going to be having a look at Gibraltar X. So we're going to be doing this one like I like to do some of the airport reviews. I like to take a bit of a drive around the scenery before we go have a look at it from the air. So this time we're actually just crossing the border at the moment. So this is one of the interesting things about Gibraltar and what makes it one of the more interesting airports to discover both in real and the virtual world. Of course, is that the Gibraltar airport is literally located right on the border with Spain. So Gibraltar, of course, is a overseas dependency of the British Empire or the British Commonwealth, and it is although it has its own free-speaking government and all that kind of stuff, it is not part of Spain. So there is a customs and border station right by the airport. Not just airside, as it were. So, and the other thing that makes it kind of unique as well, and forgive me folks, I am getting a bit odd driving on the wrong side of the road here, but anyway, funny enough, it's one of only two British overseas areas which actually drive on the wrong side of the road. So, there you go, slight bit of random news information for you. But one of the interesting things about it is that it is actually the main airport, or Winston Churchill Way, actually goes across the main runway. So as we go past here, and we'll have a look at the Gibraltar Airport departures, and again, this is some of the cool detail that the guys at Aerosoft have actually provided for this particular add-on. It's not just the airport stuff. It's this airside sort of, or landside sort of road as well. The checkpoint, as well as the looming tower, of course, of the Rock over in the background there, the great and infamous Rock of Gibraltar. Now these traffic lights here that we're just going through here, so they're limited as they turn red when, of course, aircraft are on approach and using the runway, because right now we are actually driving across the runway. Well, driving across the taxiway at the moment anyway. So it's kind of unusual, and yeah, it's definitely one of the more interesting sort of scenarios for using an airfield as well, and yeah, just chilling, just shooting across the road there. Yes, it's all good. What's up, guys? Even your pedestrians and your bicycles can actually use it as well. So yeah, of course we've got the beautiful thing there, Gibraltar, the cradle of history. And we'll try not to hit anything. And alright, so yeah, and this is these are the great sort of details here as well. And this is something that I'm finding interesting with looking at reviews of late and looking at scenery. It's not just about the airport; it's about these other little things as well. Like, we've got the fuel station here, and all this is actually mapped to the actual roads as well. So the autogen's been put in perfect sort of custom place autogen, so you can actually feel and drive over the area as if you are actually driving down the streets in Gibraltar as well, which is pretty cool. Because we've got the old British Petroleum station there as well. So it's a really nice sort of blending of photoreal with custom placed autogen and items that are specific to the area and the region, which makes it a much more in-depth sort of add-on as well, and gives you that sort of variety and gives you that more immersive feel to it as well, which is really cool as well, which I really enjoy. Because we've got the fortifications there looking down on us as we go for the drive here. Alright, so we might just go for a U-turn. We might shoot back to the airport now. As I said, pretty much the whole town and the residential areas of Gibraltar is beautifully modelled and very detailed as well. So it's a really interesting place to go for a drive around. So, all right, let's hook a U-turn here. We'll head back up, and then we'll flash our airport security pass, and we'll go airside and go for a quick drive around the airport as well before we go for our little early morning flight. So we're just by the way, we're driving around. Of course, we've got the textures represented here from the sky textures done by Rex 4 Texture Direct, and beautiful real-world weather supplied by Active Sky Next from the guys over at Hi-Fi Studios. All right. My fuel's pretty good. Yeah, I got plenty of fuel. Yeah, I don't need to drop into the servo. the football stadium's just on the other side there of the... Oh, try not to take off into the grass. More monuments. Yeah, I like showing this off because I think it's sometimes forgotten how much work and detail actually goes into creating scenery and actually, you know, bringing scenery and bringing airports to life. It takes more than just sort of slapping together a couple of runways and a few other things. And as we start to transition over to daylight, or some of our lights have gone out. But yeah, it's nice to be able to sort of show off some of this stuff as well, which is pretty cool. Alright, so we're going to go for a quick scoot. So we're going to go have a look at the terminal. So of course this is the new terminal that was recently built back in the late to early 2000s. We're going to go have a quick look at that. Now this is a shared base as well. So this is of course the international terminal as well, but it's also here as well and services the British garrison forces as well that provide quite a few, you know, all the defence of the realm, because although yes it is an independent sort of parliamentary democracy, and you know the self-governing as it were, it's still the matters of national security and policy and international policy are all still looked after by the government back in London. So it's very important, of course, to have all the important things like, you know, defence and defence of the realm and the realm's examples coming through here as well. Right, we'll try not to hit the baggage trucks. Go down here. I want to go through here. This is actually one of the things I kind of like about this one as well. One of the details I've gone through. So we're just going to scoot through here for a second. I want to show this off. So the modelling of the terminal building has been done really, really nicely as well. Probably the only thing that I'm a little miffed about was the fact that it doesn't have a hard roof. That would have been cool if we could have got that. But you know, you know, you don't get everything, but you get a lot of things. So the modelling has been done beautifully as well. So not only that, but it's also got the actual sort of part where the airport buses come through and will actually drop off passengers that have been having to pick up on other sort of parts of the airfield that don't necessarily have the jetways. So you can drive through the terminal like this and not break stuff. And we go through like that. As I said, it's really, really well detailed, and you know, it goes into a lot of detail and very, very frame rate friendly as well, which is always something that we want to know that our aircraft will be, well, that our scenery will be before we go investing too much in it, because the last thing we want is to be able to getting our OMs on final and stuff like that, do we? No, never, not ever. So we've got our fuel trucks over there. Various air stairs and stuff like that as well, giving it away. So, so yeah, it does have all these little things as well. And you can see the, of course, the Gibraltar Police, the Royal Gibraltar Constabulary, are represented and they carry the same colours as their UK counterparts. And this shows, yeah, here we are. That's perfect. So this actually goes through some of the units that have been based here previously. Could have been nice a bit of higher res, but yeah, it goes through this more the military side of the base as well. So it goes through some of the units and their squadron crests of the units that were based here, both Royal Navy and Royal Air Force personnel. And the Royal Navy and the British Army do maintain garrisons here for defence of the Strait and of the Rock, and it's very important strategic locations. And of course, what airport would be complete without its firefighting equipment and its Tesla firefighting that? You'll notice that it does look, you know, fairly boxy, very reminiscent of not only normal commercial aircraft but also of fighter aircraft as well. Because, as I said, it is a joint base. It does operate both, cater for both civilian and military flights as well. Alright, so I think we've had enough of me rabbiting on around about and driving around the airfield like a crazy maniac. Let's jump into something nice, something that we can go explore the Rock in, and we can explore some of the surrounding terrain in. Alright. We'll start park it here. This looks about good. There we are. Alright. Alrighty folks, so here we are. So we're on the ramp here at Gibraltar, Lima X-Ray Golf Bravo. So we're going to go for our quick little flight around, and we're going to check out the sights and the scenery. come back into land and we'll give my final little thoughts on this piece of scenery. So, and you'll probably find me waxing lyrical a little bit about some of the history, of course, of the rock. Alright, so let us just taxi out now. Alright, quick wind check. Our winds are pretty calm. So we'll use this part of the runway and then fly down the length of it, I think. Another taxiway here. So it's got a lot of the quite nice modelling that we can see here. As you can see, the actual, all like the approach lights and everything, and actually it's nicely modelled. And this area, as we saw with a little bit of a drive-by, is quite nice as well. It gives that bit of life to the airfield as well. I must admit, though, it is a little disappointing that there's that although there's some of the statics there just seems to be something. There is a little bit missing from the life of the airport. We'll have a fly around and see if that changes. We've got a container ship over there waiting to dock. I mean, seriously, just an incredible view of that rock. It's just, you can see why it was, it's just been known throughout history as being a very imposing edifice overlooking the Mediterranean there. We've got the fort built into the side of the mountain there. Alright. 1 knot flaps, and let us depart. Now hopefully the lights have been triggered and there's going to be no cars trying to cross the runway as we take off here, because otherwise that could be rather awkward. The marina there with all the Playboy yachts, as it were. Hatches there, another airfield security vehicle. Always good to know. So this sort of this is kind of cool. Like it's and this is one of the things. The economy of Gibraltar is very much driven by tourism and sort of a lot of capitalist expenditure. So it's nice to see that they did sort of get that touched as well nicely. So we're gonna curve back around here. We're gonna go over onto the Spanish side, as it were. We'll overfly the part where we drove onto the airport. Now today we're taking this little test flight in the Aero Simulations GROB G115 or Tutor Mark 1 in the Royal Air Force University Air Squadrons, used for air experience flights. So I thought it would be a great way to experience the rock in a University Air Squadron air experience aircraft. So I thought it would be a nice little touch there. Alright. So yeah, we've got the beautifully modelled harbour over there with accompanying ship traffic, which is always very important. Nice, got a bit of a combination of the old photo reel and the autogen going on there. It's a reasonably good job of like blending the two together. As we go this way, you can see over there, so yeah, that's the part of the fort built into the side of the rock. So rock, because of its very strategic position, with the fact that it sort of, essentially makes the Mediterranean very much a bottleneck, means that it was a very strategic position and been fortified and fought over for many centuries. And served as a very, very important role for the British, well, for any empire actually, for quite some time. And but of most significant historical sort of thing, it was claimed by the British. And during the Spanish War of Succession back in the 1700s, it was an Anglo-Dutch fleet landed here and took the the Rock, and during the ensuing peace treaties to try and where the Spanish were trying to get people, from preventing the Austro-Hungarian pretender to the throne from taking over. As part of the British history of the British peace deal, to allow them to get the British out of that particular conflict, was that the Spanish ceded Gibraltar to them, and it allowed it to be a British colony, a British permanent settlement permanently, and the Spanish would relieve their claims of it. And the Spanish have been trying to get it back pretty much ever since. Now, this is an interesting thing here we're looking at here, and this is where I sometimes have issues with photoreal. So we can see that the photoreal, they've tried, but then you get that, and that's where photoreal can have some serious issues. Like, you can see that, it's been put over and they've done a reasonably good job, but at the same time it's not worked really at all. Really not worked here. Like, it works alright in the sort of flatter lands, but when it comes to, the actual parts of the rock, and going over here, it really didn't work. And that's a real shame, because it really sort of just, like, kills off the experience. And yeah, it's annoying. And look, don't get me wrong. Like, the use of photoreal, it can be really good, and this is probably one of the best examples and combinations of photoreal with actual autogen and hand-placed autogen that I've seen. But at the same time, yeah, I possibly wouldn't have gone with the photoreal on the actual rock itself, because that's just, it's not worked. Really hasn't. Really hasn't worked at all. So, yes, that's a bit of a problem. But, as I said, you can see sort of, further down there on the more flat terrain, it's worked very, very nicely. But up here on the mountain, on the rock itself, yeah, it really hasn't worked. Yeah, it did not work well at all. That's a shame. Still though, it's still like the best representation of the rock that that you can really get. I mean, it really is. So we're just going to take our do a bit of a fly past, and we get buffeted off the and here you start to feel some of that turbulence that I was talking about earlier. So you actually get the feeling of, you get all sorts of winds and things coming through here, and we got the fortifications there. So yes, so as I was saying before, it serves a very major point, strategic value for the British, both during during the colonial wars, so the 1800s. I almost to say 1900s. 1900s, a bit more than that. So the 1800s, the colonial wars, and of course moving into both world wars, it was very important. During the Second World War, the population, or the civilian population, was essentially evacuated, mostly to the UK, but some to other parts of the empire as well, and it became a military garrison, and pretty much control, and was really instrumental and vital to the eventual Allied success in the Mediterranean. As I said, like, the rocks looks amazing for parts of it, and then where the photoreal hasn't worked, they should have. It's tough to say, because it is a tough call. Sometimes it can work, sometimes it can't, and I think this is a bit of an example where it kind of didn't, and it's kind of, let's be honest, this is the thing you go for this airport. The airport's great, don't get me wrong, but the rock is sort of like the terrain feature. Don't get me wrong though, folks. This is far better than what it's like in default. So this is straight up a major improvement over what you get in default. Just a little bit frustrating as well. Anyway, alright, so as we take our second tour around the point here, as we take in the mosque down there on the point, and the lighthouse. That's there. Very nicely modelled. I'll go through and we'll go have a run over the port and the shipyards there. So interesting enough, yeah. It's I was continue sort of waxing lyrical a little bit about the history of it. Yeah, it sort of relied very much on sort of the military side of things, owing to its strategic position, and became very much a garrison city and a garrison colony for many many years. Though in recent history, it's become less reliant on military and public services as its income and its primary sort of source of wealth. Instead, it now due to tax breaks and various other initiatives, it's actually become very much a sort of a wealthy home away from home for some people, and also very much a home to online gambling and corporations due to some favourable corporation law, and tourism is of course a very very strong thing as well. Funnily enough, though, with the Spanish still to this day still supported claim to it, though the British saying that they will support the islanders' right to choice, and the fact that in two very distinct, very disparate referendums, it's always been the case of that the the locals have very much voted to remain part of the British Empire, and rejected Spanish sort of rule and idea, but Spain's still trying to promote it. And in fact, only recently, only sort of when Spain wanted to become a part of the EU, did actually many of the restrictions and the embargoes that have been placed on Gibraltar from Spain actually get lifted. There was, for many many years, it was great difficulty to actually be able to try and even just make a phone call to Gibraltarians because of issues with Spanish and the way that they were doing things, and wanting to essentially cut off all the contact and try and take it back by bullying the Gibraltarians. But no, Gibraltarians would have none of it, and they remain steadfastly British, staunch and true. So we're seeing over here the airport here. Yeah, look, it's really quite nice. Look, it's really well done, and this is where you can see the photoreal works. The photoreal absolutely works here. Just not so well on the actual rock itself, which is a bit of a shame. Alright, so we're going to do our right approach here. We're going to do a flying our downwind leg here. Throw a little bit. Alright. Look at the Spanish side there. The rock has been besieged many, many times as well, but never successfully. The inhabitants have always held out and always succeeded against foreign invaders. Of course, except for when the British took it, of course. Alright. Coming in for a very short final here. By the way, the lighting is absolutely spectacular here. Alright. A little bit high on that approach, but that's alright. Got plenty of runway. And there we are, down. Alright. Just ease on the brakes there. Alright, so we'll taxi over here towards the terminal here. Park in front of the fire guys. Look, overall thoughts and impressions. Look, this is overall, it's a pretty good add-on. It's got a couple of things which are niggly and a little annoying. The photoreal, look, I get why they do photoreal, because it is a real place. You want to sort of get it close to that. You really do, and that's great. That really is. But at the same time, and we'll park outside the Royal Air Force Station here, and that's great. It really is, and it does give. And when it works really, really well. But on things like, on 3D sort of, edifices like the Rock, you probably want to consider not using photoreal. Just, you want to consider it, because you get the stretching and it looks a bit odd, and yeah. Whereas the other parts of it is, look, it's got beautifully detailed building. It's just absolutely amazing. The hand-placed autogen and all the other stuff that gets done here is just really, really incredible and really, really well done. So, you know, overall, I'm going to have to say that this is a really, really good add-on. I do think that there are a few things that could have been done better, but overall, I have to say that this is a really, really good add-on. I think that this is something that it gets the feeling of Gibraltar. It really does. And the overall experience is pretty damn awesome. It's really easy on frames. You get that experience. It definitely simulates the weather nicely. It makes for a challenging approach. It's just got, as I said, it's got those couple of niggly little things. Maybe it should have been nice, you know, if you've got a bit more life in the airport here. Like, maybe I've been spoilt by, like, Sim 720 and Orbix for too long. But, for example, here, we're parked in front of the tower, and there's... the statics are there, great, but there's no life as well. Like, there's no walking around, there's no movement. And as well as things like, for example, there's all these parking spaces for the runway, but there's no static airliners here. Like, you know, regular things here, guys. Thought about that. As I said, minor niggly little things. Overall, a great add-on, a great representation of a wonderful airport and a really challenging airport to go to. Highly recommended for you guys, especially if you love your history and want to fly some of the more challenging approaches in the world. Well, folks, thanks very much for tuning in and watching my little review of Gibraltar X from Aerosoft. I thought I'd say, again, thank you very much to the guys over at PCAviator.com.au for supplying the review copy of this excellent title. Don't forget, you can pick it up from PCAviator.com.au or from your favourite flight sim retailer. I'll put some links down below, and as always, folks, don't forget to like and subscribe. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying these videos and want to see more. And as always, you can catch up with me on all the things I'm up to between videos by following me on Facebook and on Twitter. Just search NovaWing24. Alright folks, thanks very much for watching. Take care, safe skies to all, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.